Everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Maker of the Week series. Given that this is the month of March, we know that March is Women's History Month. And so, us at the Gin Makers community, we wanted to really highlight and emphasize some of the awesome women who are doing wonderful things in the community. And so, it's my pleasure to introduce Devin Monet. And Devin, I'll pass it over to you to, give an introduction and share a little bit about your background.
Absolutely. First, thank you so much for having me. This is amazing in every way. My name is Devin, and I started a podcast back in 2019, actually, and it's called W.O.M.E.N. It's an acronym, and it stands for We Openly Make Encouragement Noticeable. So that is that is my podcast as far as like what I have right now, and then I recently started my business, which is the Women Approach.
Awesome. Can you walk us through some of the origin story of the podcast and how that transitioned into the Women Approach? Like what inspired you to create this platform, to create this community and to interact with people in that way?
Absolutely. So initially, I began my podcast. It's going to start off sounding like a somber story, but I promise you, it's not. But I was a Division 1 athlete. So I played basketball for Cal State Long Beach, and I also played for Santa Clara University. And when I was only 19 years old, I had an abortion. And from that age up until I was getting my master's at Santa Clara, I didn't realize how depressed I was from that one decision and from that one moment. And so, fast forward to September of 2019, I finally decided to share my story. And I actually did it on WordPress. And I had released that WordPress, and this was in September of 2019. I still remember it because it's like September 5th because it blew my mind. And I had like 55 women respond and just kind of share. And they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, they were reaching out on Instagram, on Facebook, people that still had my number were texting me. But the biggest thing that stood out was that there were so many women that had felt alone and that had went through similar situations. And they had no idea. And they were just sharing their stories back with me. And in that moment, I realized I wonder how many more women are going through many different things and they feel alone in what they're going through. And so I started working on my podcast. I started laying out what I would want this to look like. And then at the same time I was laying out the podcast, I was also laying out the business aspect of it all. And I was like, okay, what would I want to look like this from a community standpoint? And so I began the podcast when I first started in 2019. So right now I only have 20 episodes out, and that's because, when you're building something new, and you're by yourself, you kind of feel you have feelings of feeling inadequate or feeling like you might not be enough or maybe I'm not ready, whatever it is. And so I struggle with that. But then within this last year, the Women Approach was birthed because I really wanted to offer something more tangible, um, than just hearing people's stories and letting them tell them. It's awesome, but I also wanted to build a community for women.
That's wonderful. I know part of your mission statement and part of the mission behind the Women Approach is the whole aspect of stepping into your purpose and being able to have that platform to connect those stories. Can you share with us a little bit more about the tangible aspect of this and what you've seen come from that, and maybe give a little bit about like the direction and the trajectory that you're expecting for that to go?
Absolutely. Um, I think one of the most rewarding things has been in the more tangible piece. I have been helping out my friend Des, and she runs these clinics for young girls, and I will be doing a workshop for my best friend who coaches at a community college, and I'll be doing a workshop for their girls, leadership skills, emotional intelligence. I actually did receive my master's. I graduated within a year, so that was amazing. And in that, we did a lot of different courses on leadership, but not just on the educational side, but really growing yourself as a leader. And so, two things, the most rewarding thing so far that I've seen come out of the business side of it was being able to connect these two women. So, my best friend and then Des, who does her game. They had one of the first, we don't see it typically right now in sports, but they combined an open gym with both volleyball and basketball going on at the same time. And right now in women's sports, you don't really see that. And it actually ended up being like a huge success. I mean, they had women coming out that were playing professionally overseas on both ends, and women that used to play. And so that was just amazing to see, and just to sit back and be like, okay, this is being able to connect people to what they do, and just sit back and just be like, wow, that's amazing. Just being a bridge, not for anything to say that Devin did it. It's just being that bridge and opening doors for different people to connect and to collaborate. I kind of touched on where I see it going. So I am working on an event. I can't say too much on it because I'm I'm putting it together. But the biggest part that where I'm headed with it is a lot more workshops for young girls. Being an athlete, a former athlete, the biggest thing that is on my heart and that I do want to bring, and I'm collaborating with one of my friends. She has a website and a business called The Curvy, which connects people to therapists. So her company sifts out like all therapists, and you can just go onto her website, tell them what you need, and they will do it for you basically to find the best therapist that fits your situation, your experiences, what you're going through right now. And so that's really big to me. And so just being able to offer these workshops that I am working on, that is getting ready to happen, but also being able to put on events as well.
It sounds like you are covering a wide range of territories, which I think is awesome. You have the community aspect, you have the storytelling aspect, you have the resource connection aspect, and these workshops. That sounds like an awesome combo integrated into one, entity. I really like what you said about, being a bridge between, people and resources and opportunities, connecting them in these ways. Because we know that lack of opportunity or unawareness of opportunity is something that a lot of people struggle with, or a lot of people could benefit from if they were connected in certain ways. And so having more avenues and having more bridges to be tied to awesome stories and, places where people feel like they belong and feel connected, I think that's really impactful and really wonderful.
Absolutely, and thank you so much. It is definitely a wide range, but the biggest thing for me is what all did I need during my hardest times? And for me, my most difficult times were when I was playing basketball. From pursuing my BA in communication studies to getting my master's in 1 year, within those 5 years was the most trying time for me. And so when I look at what I'm doing, it's like, okay, what do I need? And then I did do a survey before beginning as well to see what women felt like they really needed. And these were just a lot of different things.
Right. And when you have that personal connection and that background that ties into the business, it definitely creates more ethos and more drive and direction in the business too. And back on the topic of being the bridge, here at Gin Makers, we are part of that pathway as well, connecting people to resources and opportunities. And so it's awesome to hear that there's more avenues for that out there. I would like to know, you've shared some good stuff with us. I would like to know, do you have a handful of like your proudest moments, or like something that's really significant to you in your mind, like something that's like the pride and joy of your process in building this business so far, like the high points? I want to hear something that's been an awesome high point with for you, in addition to what you said about the gym.
Yeah. This might sound a little more I don't know, heartwarming, but I think it's one of the most impactful moments because again, I wasn't as consistent as I would have liked to be when I first launched my podcast in 2019 to now. And so when I finally just started being consistent, I think one of the most impactful moments um, was actually one of my guests that I had. And I had Kirsten Bennett on. She is Chance the Rapper's wife. But this woman, I just always admired her from afar. Like, this woman is dope. Everything that she's moving, she just started her own business called World of Bobby. And I was just like, you know what? Everything that she's doing is beautiful. She also wants to help bring mental health awareness as well, for kids, for moms, just for people in general. And I was just like, you know what? This woman is so amazing. She's just beautiful in every way. And I've always thought that about her. I mean, I've been following her since before her and Chance were married. And I had no connections. No one connected us. I literally just slid in her DMs and I sent like a small paragraph as to why I would like to have her apart. And She was like, absolutely, I would love to. And I think in that moment for me, it wasn't it was the guest, but I think the most impactful moment was really understanding what I have here. And then another one of my friends, she's been on as well. This was in my more inconsistent stages when she was like kind of encouraging me. She was like, you know what? She hit me up. She was like, well, I left a little gift for you in this interview on a blog that I did. And I was like, wait, what are you talking about? And she was like, yeah, she was like, just go read it. So I go and I read it. And one of the questions that was asked was, what are your top, I think it was like books or things that you listen to help keep you motivated, encouraged, and just, going. And she mentioned my podcast. And I was just like, okay, like I got to keep this going. I got to keep building this community. And then I have women that DM me and they're like, you know what, this story that you shared, this person that you had on has really helped me. And I think as far as a podcast portion goes, that's exactly what I wanted it to do. And it's beautiful to be able to see the intangible portion mean so much to women and to people that are listening, so that when I transfer, or when I not transfer, but when I move to the more tangible piece, to the events, to the workshops, the panels that I'm going to start having, I already had this community that's been built simply just by listening to people's stories. I don't offer visuals, it's just audio. And I think that that's been the most rewarding and the most proudest moments that I've really just been witnessing. And it just gives me like, this was my why. And to see it being felt across the board has been the most rewarding thing.
Man, that's awesome. Being able to see, people buy into the mission and the ethos that you've built. I definitely hear and understand how that would, build momentum, pushing things forward and, encouraging you to continue moving forward. I think that's awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to open it up to our audience and ask if our audience has any questions for you and, request to join the stage and I'll bring you up and you can ask your questions.
Hey guys.
Hey, Dom.
Great story, Devin. I actually have a question. So, one of the things about Gen Makers, we like to support different communities. So, from one community to another, what are ways that we can do to support your community?
Wow, that's such a great question. Sorry, I'm still learning how to accept help.
Yeah, I mean that's what we exist for, generation makers. So, if there's any way that we can support your mission and what you guys are doing, we would love to.
Absolutely. I think so I am again working on I'm finalizing one of my first events. And so having you guys out here, it will be in LA. But having you guys out here that are one of you guys, D'Angelo, Dom, just supporting would just be really amazing.
Absolutely. Well, I live here. I live downtown LA.
Oh, dope.
So yeah, and I know we have Nigeria here as well, so we would definitely be here to support.
That would be beautiful. Thank you so much.
No problem. And if you think of anything tangible, please let us know.
Absolutely, I will.
Awesome, wonderful. Does anyone else have any questions? All right. Well, Devin, I just want to thank you so much again for joining us today. Thank you for sharing about your business and about the mission and the origin of the women movement. And we wish you the best, and we hope to see you again and connect with you again in the future.
Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. I'm excited for what the future holds for you guys. Absolutely.